Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, a little pro tip if you're just starting out in your career of how you can go a little bit further, a little bit faster. Now, I have often talked about cinematography itself. The skill is accumulating a bunch of other people's tricks to make nice looking images and being able to verbalize those tricks exactly when they're needed. That way you look really, really smart. Everyone around you is like, oh my gosh, how many tricks do you have up your sleeve? You must have hundreds if you were able to just pull one out at the exact right time. Whether that's on the location scout or the tech scout, if you're having conversations in pre-production with the producer, with the director, and they mention something, you go, that's a great idea. This is how we're going to get it done. Or that's a great idea. Maybe if we modify it a little bit, we can get great images, right? You're looking into the future and you're going, I want a final great image. This is the steps that are necessary. If you can identify where maybe there's a hole in the thinking of everyone in the project, guess what? You become valuable. Guess what happens when you become valuable? People want you back, unless you're a Dbag. If you're a Dbag with your attitude or how you present these things, you're probably not going to come back. So that's just general life advice there for you. Don't be a Dbag. So you deliver that information. That's great. That means, though, if you have lots and lots of solutions, if you've got lots and lots of tricks up your sleeve or in your bag of tricks, you got lots of cards that you can just say, bam, there. That's what you do when something's not backlit. It's all front lit. Like, that's the solution. Or if the schedule isn't going to work, like, what do we do? Bam, here's a little schedule fix. Like, we can do donut days. There you go. You want sunset? You want sunrise in the same day? Donut days. You don't want to pay overtime? Can't help you. So you want a big, big bag of tricks. The problem is when you're starting out, you don't want people to know that your bag of tricks is empty, that maybe you've got one trick. And if you're a one-trick pony, like I was a one-trick pony when you're starting out, because that's how you have to start out. Cinematography, it's not a skill that people are born with. Nobody's like, oh, just a great natural cinematographer. That doesn't exist. Right? You have to go through the process of figuring out where you can value add, and that's how you accumulate this bag of tricks. Besides just looking at other people's stuff and figuring out how they did their little trick. So if you've only got one trick, what do you do? Like, what's the advice that I would give to somebody if they just had one way of making something look nice? This is going to go counter to what a lot of people say here, but this is the reality of the world. I would say, if I only had one trick, make sure that your project that you're working on can use that one trick. Like, if you have only one way to make something look good, how are you going to get more work? By making something look terrible or by using your one trick to make it look nice? One trick, right? That seems pretty obvious. You want to use your one trick. So how do you do that? Well, you start to say, well, what do I need to make my one trick actually work on set on the day? Maybe you need a window. Maybe you don't need a window. Maybe you need I don't know, maybe you need a wide lens to make your trick work. Maybe you need a long lens to make your trick work. Maybe whatever it is that you need to make your trick work, identify those things, and then make sure that the project, that you just navigate it. If you're just starting out in the commercial world, you're on the call with the director, and they're like, this is, how do you want to approach this? You're like, you don't say I've only got one trick, but you go, I've only got one trick in my head. I got an idea. Why don't we try this? Like, let's use our communication skills to make it as easy on us as possible to get something that looks nice. Why? Because you get something that looks nice, and now you have two projects. The thing that got you the work in the first place, right? That's what made you get the job that you're on in the first place. And the second one is the project, your little one-trick project, at the end of it is probably going to look nice if you know the result of your one trick. So now you've got two projects. And guess what happens? You get a third project. And now maybe you can start expanding. Maybe you do your trick again, and maybe you get a whole reel of your little one tricks. And then you can level up, and then you can start to experiment. And then once you get that one trick down, like you just got it in the back of your mind, you don't even have to think about it. You know who to talk to do what, what the problems are going to be to throw a spanner in the works of whatever that one trick is. Like, what those things are to look at. Then you can be much more confident in branching out into like, well, what if we do this instead of my one trick? And then it's like, oh, it looks terrible. Quick, back to the trick. And then you go again. On the next project, you say, oh, okay, well, that path didn't work out of my one trick. Let's try a different path. And wait a sec. Oh, that did work. Well, now guess how many tricks I have? 2 tricks, people. 2 tricks, better than 1. That's just a rule of life. You want more tricks. Anyway, tricks are for kids. That's going to do it for this one. If you have only one trick, do yourselves a favor in the lead up to the project and align everyone's incentives to make your one trick the thing that people focus on or the result that people want. Like, well, I could see the complaints coming through already. Well, Patrick, the job that I got, like the boards or the director's treatment, it doesn't look anything like my one trick. Well, guess what your job is? Young man or young woman, guess what your job is? Communicate with those around you to maybe make them think that your one trick is better. And if it's not, you better watch more Wonder and DP breakdown videos because you got to figure out how to do other tricks. Okay, that's going to do it. Many thanks. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.